Well, Kona Haque is an independent commodities analyst. Kona, thanks for joining us in the programme. Just how much of an impact could shortages of these commodities have?
The short answer is that prices of all our everyday goods are going up because the feedstocks are going up. So as you mentioned, a quarter of energy supplies, a quarter of fertilizer supplies, 9% of aluminium, half of sulfur, a big chunk of petrochemical feedstocks. They're all reliant on this Hormuz Strait. So it's a massive choke point. And the fact that these supplies, we're seeing probably the most extreme supply shock ever, certainly for energy, but certainly for the other ones since the Russian war. So this is extreme. And to the extent that this then passes through to the production supply chain, ultimately this is going to have pretty severe consequences on everyday lives.
Analysts have been saying that the oil markets won't recover quickly. Are we going to see that in the commodities market in general?
So it depends which commodity you're talking about, but yes, generally I would say yes, because these things take time to build up again. So for example, LNG, given the extent of the damage that was done in the Qatar SARS gas field, it could be up to 5 years before that production capacity gets back to where it was. Even for crude oil, really, you have quite a few floating tankers in the area. That could ramp up quickly. But the refineries, all of these oil fields, they've let go of their staff. It takes time for that staff to come back on stream, and even then they need to be sure that it's completely safe. But other things like aluminium, fertilizers, these again, fertilizer is basically nitrogen. Nitrogen is a byproduct of when you produce gas. So these things take time. When will this gas fields and those gas operations come back and become fully operational? Only then will we start seeing these production supplies coming back on stream. But to make things worse, you also have massive hikes in shipping costs. So the freight rate and the insurance costs of shipping this stuff through, even if the war were to stop today, the freight rates will take a while to come down. So that you're seeing a level increase in all the costs of just transporting the stuff, even if supply were to return back to normal levels. So it's unfortunately we're in here for a little longer than we would like.
Kona, some countries are saying this is a big opportunity to accelerate the green transition. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I would actually, because one thing that's come really clear, not just in the current Middle Eastern war, but even previously in 2022 during the Russian-Ukraine war, is that when you rely too much on fossil fuels, and on top of them, when you rely too much on specific geographical producing regions, then you actually, as a country, particularly a country that's very import dependent on energy, you find yourself quite vulnerable and exposed to supply shocks, as we've seen. So then it basically makes sense for you to be investing in non-fossil fuels, or as you mentioned, green renewables. To the extent that you can. If Europe today arguably learned a little bit from the lessons from the 2022 Russian war, whereby it's ramped up its capacity in both nuclear, but also a lot on wind and solar. This has helped them cushion the shock a little bit. I think today, if they were still 100% reliant on fossil fuels, today's impact would be considerably worse. Maybe the pricing bill would be several-fold compared to where we are today. So yeah, to answer your question, the argument is massively in favor of investing in renewables. It allows you to become a little bit more self-sufficient in your energy requirements, and long-term it's good anyway, because fossil fuels in theory are finite, whereas renewables are by definition renewable.
Thank you. Kona Haque, independent commodities analyst. Thank you for your insights, and back over to you, Juliet.
Thanks so much, Yvonne.